Welcome back to another episode of Red Dirt Diary, where I'm going to try to answer the tricky question, what is the best and most affordable way to explore WA? A 7-day booking over the most expensive time of the year comes in at $. But that's not all that it costs to do a trip like this. You are going to have to pay for fuel and you are going to have to pay for your flights over. Without holding off any longer, for you guys to be able to do this yourself, a grand total of $. So if you guys joined me on the channel last night, we went on an incredible adventure all the way from Perth to Exmouth and saw some fantastic things along the way. And I promised you guys last night that I would give you a breakdown, a very open book, honest breakdown on truly what I thought, the money that I spent, what it costed, the pros, the cons, basically to help you guys get a better understanding of what is the best way to get off your couch after you watch this episode and go and plan a trip to go and see WA yourself. So I did a comparison. I ran the numbers as to what it was going to cost me if I took my own touring vehicle, being the Hilux, over to WA versus using a four-wheel drive hiring company. So to kick off the detailed part of the episode, I need to bring you guys into the behind the scenes and into my mindset for this to all be able to make sense to you. The episode that you watched last night that maps out to being a 3-day fun-filled adventure with something happening every 35 seconds actually took me 9 days to film. That's just the reality, especially in filming in a state like WA where it is extremely big, and also you're running a YouTube brand and you're trying to film it all and you're trying to get the best delivery and the best results and documentations of a place. And I tell you that because we're about to go and break down a whole lot of numbers and financial results. I'm trying to deliver to you guys not only what you saw last night in something really exciting and entertaining and motivating to get you out there and encourage you to do it, but also tonight is to actually help you be able to show you how you can do it and what it's going to cost you and what sort of time frames you're looking at to be able to do it yourself. All right, let's screen share. How do I do that? I'm a car driver, not an IT gal. In front of me, we've got a beautiful map of Australia. How good does she look? And what I love about Google Maps, straight off the bat here, you can see that the total trip costed in time, 16 hours and 43 minutes and 1,500 kilometers. We started in Perth. Overlander is a completely nationwide brand. They've got cars in all different corners of the country. Anyway, I picked the car up from Perth on Boxing Day. I hope the camera's on me right now. That just shows my love and commitment to you, that I sacrificed my Christmas with my family because I love you. Moving on. I picked up the car from Perth, and from there I jumped and went to the Pinnacles. Highly recommend the Pinnacles. It's not 100% free to go and see. I think it's like $15, but definitely worth it. From there we jump up even further. A lot of intros and teasers and stuff like that was filmed along the way. And then we go and camp in Nobby Head campsite. Don't even think that Nobby Head was documented in the episode last night. Again, day one is usually a bit of a logistical day in filming intros and filming teasers and a lot of things that need to get done. From there, the next day we go to, please excuse me, anyone that's from there, Wago Chalets campground. Very good campground. It was the place where it was meant to be an amazing sunset and then it was not. We also then go to Kalbarri National Park in between all of that, which is where you guys saw where those fantastically massive canyons and gorges were with the floating viewing platform. So we document all of that. Please excuse the canine. We move on. I'm just really like humanizing myself to all of you right now. Like there's a dog barking in the background and you're seeing me just in the office, just doing my thing. From there, we jump to Coral Bay and then snorkel. From Coral Bay, we go directly past Exmouth to get to where we camped the next night in the documentation of the episode. So we basically bypass Exmouth and then we go to Osprey Bay. I was there for 2 days and then we hang around the top of the peninsula. This whole area is called Cape Range. We hang around the top, back over to the Exmouth side because the weather was better on this side. And then that's when you see us make a checkpoint at Exmouth and then go out on the boats and lots of, we did so much in those days, which I know from your perspective, it looks like we did it in a day. I think in a day, it looks like we went diving and fishing, and I think like morning fishing and then kiting and then diving again. But in all, that took us 3 days. Now that you've got a compressed summary of what we did and sort of refamiliarized your brain with what you saw last night, I just want you to get an understanding for the financial numbers that I'm about to actually give you. A fact about the Red Dirt Diary YouTube channel for its whole life. The algorithm for the YouTube channel was very favored towards the East Coast. And that's just because it was filmed on the East Coast, it was documented on the East Coast, it was posted on the East Coast, the social media's been about East Coast. There were people from WA watching the show, don't get me wrong, there were, but it was definitely down the bottom of not our healthiest and strongest state actually watching the show regularly. But I've made this episode for 2 reasons. One, to help everybody from the East Coast find an understanding in how they can get over there. And also, we get to cross-check it with all of the new WA followers that we have right now. So WA followers, you can jump in the comment section. You're here with me and you can help me put all the best information out. Any tips that you guys have as well, give them to us, because a lot of people from the East Coast in the country, in the room right now, we're watching this in a way to try to figure out how we can get ourselves over to WA the easiest and most affordable way possible. Let's get into some of the details. The company of Overlander, I went through the haystack of all of them, and Overlander had this one thing that made them better than everyone else. If you saw the other episode, you'll know exactly what I'm about to get at. I'm talking about that blue book. Because they're not trying to turn away beginners. They're not trying to turn away people that don't have confidence. They're trying to bring them in. It was so aligned with what my message is. If you're on your L's and this is your first day going out camping, this is a safe space. Like, you can come here and we can help you, okay? And Overlander was just like that. Even people that English is their second language, and that the service was provided to be able to work for them. I was so impressed by that. So, the price. The question that people are like, answer it. I've got 2 prices here for you. I like to call this with Overlander and without Overlander. With Overlander, fly over, book in with Overlander and drive an Overlander vehicle, or develop your own car, have the right accessories, get the right finances, get over there and then go and do it yourself, okay? I've got the prices on both. The prices of us doing it ourselves in our cars, that costing, the price is all determined, I need you to hear this, it's all priced down to the running cost of my Hilux. So that's the costings of us doing it ourselves. And I just think that the Hilux is a really well put, the gray Hilux, my Hilux, is a well put together touring vehicle with a realistic cost margin on operating her versus the Overlander car. Okay, so I can't get more real with you than giving the prices of Bridget's car versus the price of their car. So what is that price? Well, the price is determined on which car you pick. Overlander has a lot of cars. I specifically chose their Hilux because I drive a Hilux. If I'm comparing it on the running cost of my own vehicle versus their Hilux, I was like, well, they should be on par with each other or close to. There is no closer comparison, let me just say that. They had a Troopy and I thought it was so amazing, and I was like, I just want to go on a Troopy. But that wouldn't be me delivering to you the most pinpoint financial detail. In the case of booking this specific Hilux that I had, they have multiple Hiluxes, but the specific one that I had is a minimum 7-day booking. So I just went, not a problem, that's fine. You're going on a 7-day trip, a person that's not being occupied with filming with YouTube and doing all these logistical things that I have to do on the side, you can easily do the trip that I did in 7 days and have a seriously fun time of something new every single day at a new location. You've got some optional cars here. Like I said, they've got their Troopy, they've got a Jeep, they've got a Hilux, and then they've got this Hilux right here. This is the exact vehicle that I had. A 7-day booking over the most expensive time of the year comes in at $4,193. But that's not all that it costs to do a trip like this. You are gonna have to pay for fuel, and you are gonna have to pay for your flights over, and you are gonna have to pay for your camping, and blah, blah, blah. The car ran 12.3 liters per 100. Pretty impressive. It had 2 rooftop tents, a full-length canopy, 2 spare tires on the back, and it ran exactly 12.3 liters per 100. So The price of the fuel that I spent was $998. However, there's more cost involved. Camping. Camping was about $90. Free camping is still an option in WA, which is a nice option to have. I'm not gonna put in food and alcohol because everybody's different. Lastly, I've averaged out the price of flights from Sydney and Brisbane going to Perth and found an average of $800 to $900 in peak season. Remember, I'm doing this at the most expensive time of the year. You've got $800 to $900 flights over the Christmas period, $90 of camping fees, $998 worth of fuel, and the $4,193 for the price of the car. So, without holding off any longer, for you guys to be able to do this yourself, a grand total of $6,100. Now, what would it cost without the Overlander experience? The total kilometers to get a car from the East Coast, the middle of the East Coast, okay, I middle-dized it, that's not a word, but you know what I mean. I put it in the middle, is 5,026 kilometers one way. My Hilux runs at 12.9 liters per 100 on a normal size fuel tank. Meaning, just to get yourself to Exmouth from the middle of the East Coast, without seeing anything along the way, just by the way, you're not going to Perth, you're not going to the Pinnacles, you're not doing all the extra things, you're just driving straight there, and then you get into Exmouth, and then you're not moving your car again until it's time to double back and go home. Comes to a fuel costing of $3,838 all up, straight there and back. We all know it's going to be more than that. I feel like it's safe to say that you need to add at least like $500. I reckon it's so much more, but $500 on top of that, but whatever, for the sake of the competitive argument, we've just gone straight there and not done anything. It's $3,838. If the price of camping costs no more, which I think is completely unrealistic in saying that camping is going to cost you $90 to go all the way across the country, but we'll just leave it at $90, brings you to a grand total of $4,638. The difference here is $1,462. Camping is not going to be free going across the country. You will go and see sights along the way. I feel like that the $1,400 is going to be the additional costs to be chucked into wanting to see Port Augusta on the way, or see Esperance on the way, or see Perth, or see at least the Pinnacles. You just have to ask yourself this one question, this one competitive question that I have for you. It takes 5 days to drive to Esperance from the East Coast if you're an extremely committed, good driver in driving big days. That's 10 additional days off work. Does 10 days at work cost you $1,400? Do you see where I'm getting at with this? The thing about Red Dirt is that I'm never going to let anything be negative. And that's the point of this, is that it's not supposed to be negative. I understand that the country is big, but how can I get some of you guys off the couch on the East Coast and exploring the West Coast in a healthy way that is super fulfilling and good on your wallet and safe for the family and safe for you as drivers as well? It's through a service like this. I know that it can be hard to imagine if you've got your own four-wheel drive, even a well-equipped four-wheel drive, and leaving it in the garage and going over and driving another car, but the wear and tear, the time off work, the distance of driving, and the amount of stuff that you need to have. The point is that you can lose your WA virginity through a service like this. Now, seeing as how this episode has been about 100% transparency, open book, opening the finances, there is one more thing that I need to do to have that 10 out of 10 transparency for you guys, and that's actually just to thank you guys for the opportunity that you've been able to give myself and Red Dirt to be able to have a partnership like this with Overlander. It's one that I'm extremely proud of and super grateful of, because it's you guys watching this show and getting behind me and supporting the mission that we've all got together in finding ways that we can go traveling around the country and fill our memory banks of Australia. Now, the last thing I'll say is, if you're new to the show, welcome. I will see you in the next adventure, and if you haven't already, please go ahead and follow along, and I will see you next time. Thanks heaps, guys.